So why isn't Nate Frazier playing more for the Georgia Bulldogs? Kirby Smart was asked on Tuesday night about his development in pass protection, and here's what Kirby had to say. He said he's getting better. The first thing I found with freshmen is, do they have courage? Okay, he has the courage. Some of them don't have courage. Does he have strength? He's got the strength. He can lift weights, and he's got and you've got a 225-pound linebacker. You've got to be physical. The guy's coming full speed at you, and you're standing still. He checks the box. And then is he smart enough? Can he pick it up and know mentally what to get with the pace of it? Can he pick it up and know mentally what to get with the pace of it? He gets a lot of looks from us, and he's not been perfect at that. He's had some issues with that, and we've got a quarterback that we feel is pretty important to protect, Matt DeBerry. Nate takes a lot of pride in his performance, and he wants to do it right. So we give him a lot of opportunities to get better in practice, and he's taken ownership of that.
Yeah, they're going to need him. A little bit of some word salad there from Kirby, just kind of talk, I guess. But the kid is electric with the ball in his hands. He was one of the best running backs right out of high school, and we saw him against Clemson, play very well. And he was kind of a game changer in his very first game. Didn't see as much of him against Tennessee Tech. Obviously, Trevor Etienne coming back was a big reason for that. But, we haven't seen that type of game from him since game one. It looks like we will be able to see more of him. But, at this point, when do we see Roderick Robinson back? Because he's a guy that needs the football when he is healthy. I don't know when he'll be healthy, but Nate Frazier is, the freshman. Everyone wants to see him. And we saw a little bit. We saw a glimpse. Because he's got that wiggle, right? He can make a guy miss in the open field and bring some explosiveness, right, to the running game that we just haven't seen, especially, if you look back the last 3 years. Occasionally, they're knocking off a massive run or two each game. Feels a little more difficult now. I do think if Nate Frazier gets more opportunities, that explosiveness will come.
Offense is just lacking a little bit of juice this season, and I think he can bring that. We already saw him bring it in the Clemson game. He did more than anybody else did in that game. With the pass protection, I get it. He's a freshman. He's got to earn his way on the field, and little things like that are going to help him out with that. You want him to get better at that if that is the one thing that's holding back extra touches. I don't think that there's a question that Etienne is their number one back. That's clearly what they're doing since he's been put into the lineup against Tennessee Tech. But, you saw against one of the better defenses Georgia's going to play this year, he made multiple explosive plays. He made people excited. He helped them get the ball down the field a little bit faster. This is an offense that doesn't have a true star. It doesn't have a true number one weapon. It doesn't have a true number two weapon yet. It can develop into that, but you'd think that he has the type of talent that can do that. I think that he's someone that needs to get on the field more. It's not an elite running back room, but he has elite traits, and you think that he's going to get better and better over time. I'd like to see him get more touches. I think that we're right at that point in the season where we're about to see him a little bit more. You saw that last week against Auburn. He got in there more than I think any other game outside of the Clemson game. So it looks like we're heading in that trajectory with him.
I just want to. I think he could be elite, and I think that Georgia's. I'm waiting for a big run game. I kind of anticipate that this week against State. State's just having a hard time right now. They're going to have a hard time sticking with Georgia, but really, it's not who you play, it's how you play, as I've said a lot. And with Nate Frazier, he flashes, and so it's hard to be elite if you don't flash. Well, he does flash, but he's clearly not, in the word salad that Kirby talked about there, he's not quite getting it right, and they want to be multiple at any point offensively so that the defense doesn't know, oh, they're definitely running it here. If you don't know where the ball's going, Matt, it's harder to defend. So that's on Nate Frazier, man. He's got to do his part so that he can be special. I'll say this. John Fabris was the longtime defensive ends coach at Georgia. Quentin Moses, David Pollock, Will Thompson. He had some Charles. Oh my God, played for the Panthers forever. Help me out.
Johnson.
Yeah, Charles Johnson. He had some freaks, and he used to say to me just privately, he'd say, if we don't do what we're supposed to do on first and second down, we don't get to do what we want to do on third down. It's the same thing for Nate Frazier. He's got to do what he's got to do in order to get those looks.
Yeah, Charles Johnson, that Peach Bowl gets
freak.
repeated something unbelievable.
Freak.
But yeah, Nate Frazier definitely has that ability, and he's a guy who can get tough yards, but he can also break a long one too. But at the end of the day, you have to bring that toughness and that pass protection. We saw against Clemson when Cash Jones took on Barrett Carter, which allowed London Humphreys to continue his route, catch the ball, they score. Kirby sideline, they were going nuts, and I don't know if that was the reason why they end up.
That was the reason
to get him a touchdown, but yeah, right. So, it benefits you from, growing your game the way I think Nate Frazier needs to. The tools are there, the speed's there, the acceleration, the burst, the quickness, and I think he shows, solid vision as well. That's something he can improve on too, but as a freshman, that kind of takes a little bit, but the kid can absolutely play if he can improve that pass protection. It'll keep him on the field more, which is great because he's so versatile. You can throw him the ball. He can help you in a lot of different ways. So if he can continue to improve and show Kirby Smart and that staff, hey, I can take on a linebacker and give Carson Beck that last little bit that he needs to rip it down the field, he is going to see the ball more, and I think that is going to only help Georgia's offense, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with that Clemson game, Cash Jones gets rewarded for doing that, and that's why he's been out there more, right? Because I don't think that Cash Jones is necessarily – he's pretty good with the ball in his hands. And as much as people have complained about the white running back being out there and getting touches, he's pretty good. A good receiver out of the backfield, too. So it's not like Georgia hurts when Cash Jones is on the field. He makes plays, but – that a guy like Nate Frazier, who's so young and so talented, if he only gets better and better and better, it can be a real problem for defenses. So I really do think it's something that we're going to see. Now, do his touches get limited whenever Roderick Robinson comes back, which we really haven't heard anything about that recently. I thought that was something that would be resolved within the first month of the season, but now we're heading into the second phase of this season now, after 6 weeks into it, 7 weeks into it, if you count week 0. So maybe his touches get a little bit limited when Roderick Robinson comes in there. Maybe it's Branson Robinson's touches that get limited since he's a little bit more of a power back. But to me, this offense, if they want to win really big games, they need more explosive plays, and those explosive plays can't just come out of desperation when you're playing with 4 downs against Alabama when you're down by 3 touchdowns. That's the only time we've really seen Georgia's offense explode outside of a couple of moments. In the Clemson game, guess what? A couple of those moments in the Clemson game were produced by Nate Frazier. So I do think he's someone that can help this offense. This week, Georgia, look, they're way better than Mississippi State. They should crush Mississippi State. And Nate Frazier's the kind of player that should get touches in a game like this. And you want that confidence heading into another hostile road environment the week after against Texas. So I think he's someone that's going to get implemented a little bit more. But like we were talking about a little bit earlier, when Roderick Robinson comes back, I don't think we know what this backfield looks like. Is that whose touches is that eating into when he returns?
I mean, here's my perspective, and I'll throw it to Matt. My perspective on this is we're 5 games into this thing. You're looking at probably 15 games. Even if you go to even if you don't go to the playoff, you're looking at 14-ish games. So you're about a third of the way through the season. Okay. You're going to need all those guys. Is what I would say in terms of whose snaps does he take. I don't know the answer to that, Matt, but I know that they're going to need 3 legitimately healthy running backs. If they get Roderick Robinson back, they have more than 3. I mean, at this stage, they have Etienne, they have Frazier, they have Robinson. They would have Robinson, and they would have Cash Jones. That would be 5 guys that they actually can depend on. Now, Branson Robinson's not having the season that these other guys are yet, but he knows what to do, and we don't know when you can have a Branson Robinson game. I don't know, but you're going to have more than like a back. I mean, Etienne, it's not just going to be Etienne. It's got to be more than that. With is that the Shakespeare Cup right there? Wow.
Yeah, Columbia,
that's super. Get it closer to your chin.
This is
there.
An
You
artifact.
Go. Yeah. Aggressive. That night was a tight night, and they had to use Kendall, Kenny. Who was the third back in 22? I'm blanking right now, but they didn't.
Dejan.
Yeah, Edwards. They didn't just have one guy, Matt. If these guys are going to get where they want to go, not only are they not just going to have more than one back, each back's going to have their sort of game. I don't think we've seen a game yet from a running back. Not really, where somebody goes for 150.
Yeah. In a way, I almost look at it like the wide receiver position. There's some good running backs, and they've got some good wide receivers. I don't know if they've got like a true elite alpha in either one. Trevor Etienne is really good.
I think Etienne could be.
He could be, yeah. But, I mean, I do like Dylan Bell and Dom Lovin, and Colby Young brings that potential, but I don't know if they have multiple guys like that at running back. Maybe it is Nate Frazier when he continues to get better. Roderick Robinson is a bulldozer, bowling ball of a running back, and that's a guy that, all through the offseason I was looking forward to watching play because I think he's a little better than Branson Robinson until Branson Robinson becomes that guy again. And maybe it's a confidence thing in the knee. I don't know what.
Coming back from a knee injury, man. I mean, let's not forget that part. Yeah.
But and that's why that suddenness that you've talked about just isn't there. But they need multiple backs to play at a high level, not to just be reliable or dependable. They need a lot of backs who can make big plays. They're going to win this whole thing.
Yeah, they got to have guys like Etienne's got to play the way that Junkins did against for Ole Miss against Georgia that night. Ryan, if he can do that, that's a different situation.
Yeah, well, Judkins scored twice that night, and while that was still a game, I think it was 17-14, something like that, and Judkins had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But you look at Ohio State, they've got more than one capable running back. They happen to be one of the countries that has 2 really good ones, right?
But they don't have a really good – their problem, Ryan, is they don't have a really good quarterback necessarily. I mean, he's adequate.
They don't. We don't know.
I'd rather have the quarterback, to be honest, just to be straight.
You talking about Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm picking between quarterbacks and running backs, I'm picking a quarterback every single time.
Yeah, but they've got the receivers, too. It makes it easier. So they've got a lot going on up there in Columbus.
They might want to mix in more than a touchdown against Iowa in the first half, just if they're so good at offense.
Okay. We're taking shots up north. Yeah, look, I mean, when Georgia has competed, their running backs have played better. Just plain simple. Last year was the worst running back play they've had in a while. It was really good in 2017. It was elite in 2017. 21, it was really good. James Cook and Zamir White, they're NFL starters right now. In 22, Kenny McIntosh is fighting to stay on that Seahawks roster and made a lot of plays in preseason. And he was a very dynamic running back that I think gets a little bit underappreciated in the grand scheme of everything that's gone on the last few years. But it wasn't just one guy. You're right. They need more than one guy that can contribute in a big way. Right now, it feels like you're getting a big chunk out of ETN and some little chunks out of other people, but it doesn't feel like you're getting not that they're not putting in their full effort. It doesn't feel like you're getting a full punch from every single running back right now, and that's partially just because the running game has struggled for Georgia. I don't know how much of that is on the running backs and how much of that is on the offensive line because it goes both ways, but under 100 yards against Alabama. But I don't think they've gotten close to 200 yards in any of these 5 games.
Well, let me ask you this as we wrap this up. I mean, part of it is they've not had all the ingredients yet, Matt. I mean, they did against Clemson, and they were very effective on the ground against Clemson. But certainly against Auburn, they were missing 2 starting offensive linemen. You got the Kentucky game, you're missing your alleged best offensive lineman. I say alleged because I don't know who the best one is, but Tate Ratledge is getting a lot of publicity on that front. So what we see now might not be what we see in November. That's the thing about it, y'all, is where are you getting better or not? And that's the part that Nate Frazier's got to work on. If it's about blocking and the minutia of playing, you've got to do that or you're not going to be successful, and that's what you work on right now.
Yeah, you got to get better, right? As no matter the games are over, you have what you have. Guys can get healthier, but right now it's all about improving game by game. And we'll talk about the Mississippi State game in just a minute, but this is kind of a get-right game for me, especially for Georgia's run game. Teams have been able to shred Mississippi State on the ground. This is the game where Georgia needs to show that they can do that, especially, getting that confidence going into Austin the week after that.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.